There was a lot of anger and a lot of unanswered questions. But at the same time, when coming to know that he wasn't my real father, it also answered many questions for myself. My whole history then came under review, and I realised that's why so-and-so was this way, or that's why I was like this, or that's why. And there was a lot, and so I kind of went into the world on a practical level at the age of 18. I kind of then went into the world, coming away from my family, kind of angry, thinking, then who am I? I need to find myself. I can't take what I've taken.
Yes.
I can't take who I thought I was. So who am I? And then I started to look at aspects of myself that I'd kind of pushed down or pushed aside so as to be like my father. Suddenly they were out, and I started looking at them. And one of the things was my artistic ability. You know, like one of the things I did, I went to night college, and I began learning all about, you know, just exploring art and stuff like that, and also reading. I began to read copiously and kind of explore, but at the same time, something else happened. Is I began drinking. You know, at the age of 18, I began drinking on what it was I wasn't able to deal with at that time. And what I wasn't able to deal with was the feelings around finding out about my father, you know, which were big. And I come from a family where we're not really that
you don't talk
touchy
about
feeling.
things,
Yeah, we don't talk about feelings. You just get on with it, or you're told now, and it's kind of, you know.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like that.
You have to get on with it on your own, basically.
That's kind of how it was. Yeah. So.
And so you started drinking, and
Yeah.
then I know from what you've told me previously, it got quite serious, and you ended up looking for help with the 12-step program.
I did. I drank for a few years, and it kind of progressed. My drinking progressed, and it started to really impact on my life and all sorts of things, you know. My life became, things got distorted. Things got distorted because what I didn't find in myself, I kind of compensated in alcohol, and alcohol gave me a full sense of self in a way. I became dependent on a substance that kind of made me feel.
So it gave you a full sense of self.
Absolutely, it was something outside myself. I put in myself. You know, it disinhibited all the fear or inadequacy that I felt, and it gave me a sense of ease with myself. And the thing was, I started to build my life on top of that, and I started to experiment with who I was with that, and everything kind of got distorted because ultimately everything always came back to the booze, and then it would just all become very distorted and impact and break, and it was just a mess, you know. So at the age of 27, I found myself in AA, Alcoholics Anonymous,
Right.
Seeking help.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's a big step to actually say, I need help from this.
It was a huge step because up until then, and this is, it's just so interesting about alcoholism, because with alcoholism so much is invested. You see, it's not just a drink, it's everything that it's helped you with, and for me, it was my whole personality, everything I was trying to do. Without drink, it would all just come apart, and I kind of, on some level, I knew that if I didn't drink, there's something disastrously wrong with me, you know, and I kind of didn't want to look at that. But the thing is, in the end, at the age of 27, I think it was 1 month before I was 28, I came to realise that really I knew I had to deal with this, and I went into AA and I put the drink down, you know.
So you just stopped drinking, you went to the meetings.
I was in and out for 9 months, but
Okay.
but the thing was, in that 9 months, it kind of allowed me to really explore that decision, because when you decide to go to AA or put the drink down, if it affects you that much, then it's a huge life-changing experience to put the drink down and to then look at getting into recovery. So it took me 9 months, but then you know, after 9 months, there was a realisation. Something happened where I'd not had a drink for 6 weeks, and I thought I'd conquered it. And then what happened for me was I thought I could still hang around the same playground. I could go out, pubs, clubs, and stuff like that. And I did after 6 weeks, and I ended up walking into a boozy joint where there's a sign saying buy one drink and get one free. Next thing you know, I've got 2 bottles of drink and pouring it down my neck. And I wake up the next day and with the shakes and with that mad dilemma of I've had a drink and what went wrong there. And I just got to an AA meeting, and that was nearly 14 years ago. I've not had a drink since. So it took me 9 months to make that decision, and I made that decision, and it's, you know, that's what I did.
So to start with, from what I understand, you were going there to try and sort yourself out and sort your personality out and make life more smooth, more livable. But you actually discovered something else, didn't you, one day? Something quite dramatic happened.
Something really dramatic, yeah, it did. I mean, I'd been going to AA for about 3.5 years, okay? And in that time, I've taken on board the suggestions that they give you, and a lot of the suggestions come from working a 12-step program, which is amazing, really, because it's a wonderful structure which allows you to review your inadequacies, your thoughts, your feelings, your fears, your resentments, what have you, and it also gets you to look at your needs, your human needs, and how to get them met in a good way. But for me, what had happened, and this might all sound a bit disjointed because we're going straight into what happened, but what happened for me was, for a while that worked, working the program worked for me. It gave me a perspective, but it gave me a perspective that came from a program. It came from a prescribed way of looking at life. So if something came up for me, a fear, an inadequacy, whatever, I could kind of, from that perspective, look at it. And it was fine. I could, on a mental level, emotional level, kind of things would sort themselves out. But after about 3 years, something started happening to me. There was something on a deeper level, something gnawing, and it kind of and something about the program wasn't working. It was all working on a mental, emotional, but for me, I was beginning to realise that I was relating too much from it. I wasn't relating from who I really was.
Okay.
Do you understand? It's that kind of getting caught up in relating from that.
So your reference point was the program,
was absolutely
rather
than who I am, who's Steve.
Yeah.
You know, and that just came about. You know, that came about, and then while that was happening, I started to kind of feel uncertain. That uncertainty was coming about, whereas the program gave me certainty before. It kind of stopped working. There was something else, something deeper. You know, I found that when I was at meetings sharing, I started to become tongue-tied, or I started to become conscious again of myself, and I kind of felt uncomfortable, and I felt that dis-ease in me, you know, and I couldn't kind of understand that. I didn't then know what to do. It was quite a scary place because I thought the program worked on all these levels.
Yes.
And then suddenly I found myself, and at the same time I was at college doing an access course. I was looking to go to university and study theology. And I found myself at college, and after about a year, I remember at college I was very much searching and kind of wanting to know what the answer was. I was studying psychology and sociology. And I was very intense. I was very intense in the class, in the lectures, and battling it out with the tutors, you know. But you know, and other students used to get a bit peed off, thinking, you know, just take the notes, write the notes down, and chill out, you know. But I didn't know who I was. I kind of didn't know where I was coming from. I was searching for something, but I didn't know what I was searching for. You know, there was just something in me driving me, but I didn't know what it was. And then one day while I was at college, there was a class tutor who's teaching sociology, Sheila Jervis, amazing teacher, brilliant sociology tutor. She got me. I mean, I was in her class, and then by the end of the class, when everyone had left, I was still there, and I was still debating about something. And it's quite intense. And she just looked at me and she said to me, very straight, very matter of fact, she said, "Stephen, you're not your thoughts or your feelings." And I shut up.